For far too long, Africa has lived through a history of slavery, theft, foreign rule, and the darkest place in human history that the world brought to her doorstep. 400 years later, Africa's scars have birthed a dynamic, onward, and rising people. Join the Inspire E-Conference 2021 as great minds edify on the positioning of the new rising star. Starting on the 9th to the 14th of August. Africa, get ready.
Dr. Ruth Senyonyi is a counseling psychologist and director of Bethel Counseling and Consultancy Center. She holds a PhD in counselor education and supervision from Regent University in Virginia, a Master of Arts in Counseling from Northeastern Illinois University in Chicago, and a Bachelor of Arts with Education from Makerere University in Kampala. Dr. Senyonyi is the Provincial Mothers Union President in the province of the Church of Uganda. She's married to Reverend Canon Dr. John Senyonyi. They have 4 grown children and 4 grandchildren. Dr. Senyonyi worked for 22 years with Bank of Uganda as the Deputy Director, Welfare and Counseling Division in the Human Resource Department. She has extensive practical experience in counseling, having worked in several settings with diverse clients. She is a good communicator with excellent presentation abilities, and her areas of specialty are parenting, marriage, family, career, and personal management areas. So join with me this evening to welcome Dr. Ruth Senyonyi to share with us. Welcome, Dr. Ruth, and over to you.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth is now my president, as she's our president for Uganda Counseling Association. And I'm also proud to have been the first president in that association. So thank you so much. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to thank my husband that he's listening in, and I'll go straight on. I know a lot of things have been said, and if they've been said, I'll probably not run to them. So mental health and psychosocial support is my topic today. And I begin with the fact that mental injury is invisible but very devastating. If you know Robin Williams, he played in Mrs. Doubtfire, very funny man. And then we have our very own Daphne Chimoli, who passed on because she had poor grades and she committed suicide. And Robin Williams, very successful, had depression, was struggling with alcoholism, and also committed suicide. Suicide worldwide is very big. Invisible injury, Simone Biles quit to take care of her mental health. And guess what people said? She was called weak, a loser, selfish, immature, because she wanted to take care of her mental health. And nobody thought that was important. COVID-19 has pulled us into a mental health crisis as well. This disease is unpredictable. There's a lot of uncertainty. There are pandemic losses. There's anxiety-provoking media. There's worry, fear, anxiety, panic. It has caused financial instability. It has caused gender-based violence. And this is one of the things that causes people to give up and move to things that we don't want them to do. So just a little bit of definitions here. Some of the doctors have already said these things, but a complete or a flourishing or a positive mental health is when you are functioning well. And it's sometimes called well-being. You are functioning well emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and socially. This is when you are running at full potential. Now, in mental health, we focus on feelings, on thinking, that is the cognitive, and the behavioral components. The other definition, one of them has been said by a doctor, mental health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Mental health is also fundamental to our collective and individual ability as humans, and I underline those: to think properly, to emote, that's emotions, and interact with each other so that we can earn a living and enjoy life. Mental health is also realizing our own abilities. Are we able to cope with normal stresses of life? Are we able to work productively? Are we able to make a contribution to the community? So when we think of psychosocial, this is just the relationship between our thoughts, emotions, and behavior, and how we relate those to our relationships, our family, our community, our social values and practices. And then the support is that all these things are factors that are responsible for our psychosocial well-being. There are three core domains, and I think Dr. mentioned some of them. That the first resource, or the first domain, is the physical and the mental health. But it also has a component of knowledge, capacity, and skills. I think in the second day, they did talk about skilling. Then the social is very important. And then the culture and values is another place that is important. What are the indicators of being well or psychosocial well-being? Those are some of them: long life, healthy behavior, mental, spiritual, and physical wellness, social connectedness. Are you connected socially? Personal security, job and earnings, stress management, and so on. The doctor before me has mentioned some of these disorders. These are some of the major health disorders. They are mood disorders, they are anxiety disorders, eating disorders as well. Someone eats too much or eats too little. We have addiction-related disorders. Then we also have intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as trauma-related disorders. Now, I am a person who, as you heard, I have my private practice right now, but I did work with Bank of Uganda for a number of years, and I was providing psychosocial support to the staff. We have over 1,000 staff in Bank of Uganda, and I was dealing with many of them, plus their families. So it is any type of support or action that aims to improve, to protect, or promote psychosocial well-being, all the things I've said above. So some support to help. And it also empowers this individual to accomplish that mental health and wellness, and also deals with the thoughts, the moods, the feelings, the beliefs. This is what I do in counseling. This is what the doctor before me does in psychiatry. Ways of coping and social relationships. What is the state of mental health in Africa? A big question. I've already said that the budget is less than 1%, most African countries. There's shortage of specialized services. 90% lack access to treatment. And you find that mental health is marked by distance. They don't want anything to do with that. Ignorance, anger, or guilt. Many believe that mental illnesses is out of madness, it's just madness. You have to go to Butabika, that's all. Or is a divine wrath from God, or is caused by witchcraft, or is caused by demons. So you find people who are depressed in church, and someone is praying over them and saying that demon of whatever come out, when he needs someone to talk to, when he needs some little medication to help him get out of that depression. Some go into witchcraft and sit and or are put in little huts and left there for many months trying to recover. And you find that in Africa, we have many other diseases that are overshadowing mental health. They include malnutrition, and I think the doctor mentioned those other diseases. The causes, you have heard about them, I won't go into them: child abuse, trauma, violence, personality factors, genetic factors, and so on. So what is the purpose of psychosocial support? I'm supposed to help people to prevent or alleviate distress and suffering from more severity. Also help clients return to normalcy, or help individuals or communities cope or accept whatever is going on, healing emotional wounds, and also rebuilding relational structures. Some of the action supports are health and social support, counseling, I'm very passionate about that one, and strengthening family support, rehabilitation. I've missed some of those because they've already been mentioned, and you can see the pyramid. The specialized services are very few, and you find that the basic health services are at the lower part. And as you heard from the first doctor, they don't have the training. Some of them do not know. They are focusing on maternal health and malaria, and not on mental health. I also wanted to give you a definition of counseling because many people misunderstand what we do. I'm a professional counselor with a master's and a PhD in counseling, and I love counseling, and we are advocating. And I think when I've been hearing what God has given out to people to do, mine is counseling. I've been training for over 20 years in Makerere, in UCU, in Deje, and I know it's a professional relationship that empowers individuals, families, and groups to accomplish what? Mental health, to accomplish wellness, to accomplish education and career goals. So Africa, get ready. We're supposed to make mental health a priority in Africa. Budgeting needs to improve. Training needs to be improved. Services need to be improved. We need to provide affordable and accessible services and make people aware about what mental health is. Deal with their beliefs so that they no longer believe that it's all about witchcraft or demons or things that they don't see. Think outside the box. That means we are going to shift tasks. Instead of having 43 psychiatrists in Uganda, we shall train whoever is available. Simple, basic things. What to do in depression, what to do when someone is this and that and that. So simplify the messages like they're doing for HIV. They have them all over the place, simplifying them around COVID. Simplify messages, unpack the messages into easy to understand little packages. And then training of health support workers. I liked what the first doctor talked about. Training of those other support workers to do this kind of work. So there are around 4 parts to this: prevention, protection, restoration, promotion, and these overlap. So I'm not going to be able to particularly put them into where they belong. But for example, prevention, team up with other psychosocial supporters, like mental health workers, like psychiatrists, like social workers, like counselors. Let's work together, collaboration, that's what's been talking about. Then advocacy and awareness. Then we also have improving access to mental health, or making mental health a priority in our lives, building strong families, supporting children, empowering women. That is all in prevention. What about promotion? How can we deal with awareness? People should stop suffering in silence. You all should stop stigmatizing friends and family. They're having trouble with alcoholism, and instead you shame them or you shut them off. Even COVID recently, it was a big problem. No one wanted to say that they had COVID. Then they go to weddings and they spread the COVID because they don't want anybody to know. There's a lot of stigma around that. Jeremiah 30:17 says, "And I will restore you to health and heal your wounds." Is there a safe space for someone to go to handle psychological and social problems so that they can better cope? This is what I do. So that they can make informed decisions, so that they can deal with stigma, so that they can adhere to medications. There are many times me and my husband have talked to young people and talked about marriage, simple things in marriage. They've never heard of them. So safe space. I can come, I can talk. There are young girls who are getting sexually getting into sexual stuff, and they have never been talked to. No one has ever told them. A simple little thing like, this is menstruation, it's what you go through, you have thoughts about boys and girls. It helps them focus psychosocial support and restoring families. Then protection. What are the policies around protection? Governments and Ministry of Health in the different African countries should ensure that there's protection of health workers and that there is also guidelines for practice, for support, and the services that are provided. We need to invest in psychosocial support. If I count the number of private counseling services in this country, they can fit on my hand. That is sad. So I'm going a little more personal now. It's important for you to invest in your own health. I think the doctor before me said that. How do you do that? Become self-aware. Are you able to recognize your emotions, your thoughts, and how they influence your behavior? Are you able to have an accurate assessment of your strengths and limitations so that you can have confidence and optimism? Are you able to manage attitude? Are you able to manage yourself? It's called self-management. That's when you are able to regulate emotions. Remember at the beginning I said, this whole thing is about emotions, about thoughts, about behavior. Are you able to regulate how you feel when you are angry? Anger management. Are you able to manage stress? Are you able to control impulses? When someone says something horrible to you, you don't hit them. You are able to control that. Are you self-motivated? Do you set personal goals? Do you work to meet them? What about managing your self-defeating habits, your drinking, your idle, your procrastination, your perfectionism? That's self-management. Because when you don't manage these things, they affect cognitive, physical health, emotional, and behavioral. That is stress. Anytime you do not manage stress, they disturb you. So managing stress, being aware of stressors and their causes. Be aware. That's the only way you can manage your mental health. How do you react when you are under pressure at work? How do you react when your wife is not talking to you? So improve your ability and manage the stress. Then we look at your relationship skills. Remember I said it's something to do with emotions, it's something to do with cognitive, but it's also to do with relational. Are you able to establish healthy relationships? Are you able to maintain healthy relationships? That goes to marriages, that goes to workplace relationships. Are you able to communicate clearly and listen actively? Are you able to resist social pressure? That is you. You need to be able to manage yourself. We teach these things. Are you able to make responsible decisions? Your choices. Make your choices based on ethical standards, biblical standards, safety, and social norms. Then we go to your family. Are you able to invest in your family so that they can support you? There are so many challenges in families that we deal with in counseling: divorce and separation, conflicts, domestic violence, absent fathers, alcohol and drug abuse, sexuality crisis. Your 10-year-old now is online and watching pornography because you are not supervising them. Those are some of the challenges. And what happens? So lockdown has affected our children and teenagers. There's increased fear. There's increased risk of sexual exploitation, cyberbullying, increase in teenage pregnancies. There's increase in anxiety. And I've already told you about our little girl who passed on, 15 years old. She hung herself on a tree. Why? Because of the anxiety. I have 23 marks instead of 4. And I'm supposed to go where? So let me kill myself. Lockdown impact. So we need to build strong families, my dear friends. As Christians, this is it. Family was an idea of God. It is significant to happiness. So make it safe. Let the children feel free to grow. It should be a place to develop. Protect your children from this unfriendly world. Take care of them. Train parents. I know Mr. Steve Langer, I think most of you know him. He's been doing parenting courses very seriously. You do 8 weeks or 12 weeks of parenting so that you can be a better parent. Consistency and structure is something that families do not know. Help the child's world to become predictable by being predictable yourself. Is there structure and consistency in your home? When do you wake up? When do you sleep? When do you have meals? Some of you have meals at midnight. Then the next day you don't have any meals. That is unpredictable. And it's not allowed. Make your house predictable. Do you love your child? Do you touch them? Do you know your child? Do you know their school? Do you know their friends? Do you know what they do? Some of you have no idea. Do you understand the pressures around them? Be present for your child. Then we need to look at women. As you heard, I'm the Mothers Union president, and I love the women. And when they are empowered, there's so much that can be done in a home, in a nation, in the world, in Africa. What has worked? What are the policies to improve this? What about workplace support? What are the policies that support wellness? I just must talk about Bank of Uganda because they've done a wonderful job. I guess maybe I should say that I did work for them. And so I tried to do something about wellness. Are the staff well? Do you recognize? Do you have a person they can talk to? For 22 years, I was in that office listening and hearing some of the disgruntled staff and averting many, many things that would have happened. We had para-counselors. Every floor had someone I had trained to deal with some of the crises that could come their way. What about flex work? Now we are in COVID. Is there flex work? Time off? And then it's important for you to know that we need to invest in health because it is wealth. Thank you so much for listening to me. May the Lord bless you indeed.